Okay, this is kind of part two of chords with scales. Now, if you looked at the video, I mentioned in the video that sometimes these things won't work because of the fact that it has to be within the context of a key. Now, this is important, and I'll show you some examples, and this is why I wanted to make this part two. So, on the sheet I panned out to my students, there's a C chord. Now in the C key of C major, this works great. And here's the little add-ons. And then here's a D scale, D minor scale. But realistically, that D minor scale isn't going to work. Or here's your D minor scale up here on the 10th. Might be, it's not going to work. And here's why. Remember I mentioned in the other video that your modes go C major to D Dorian, or the second mode built off the second degree of the scale, which means the second note of the scale. If you start the scale 7 notes from the D, and the spacings will change in that, within the context of the D, it's the D Dorian has the exact same notes as the C major, and the D, if you just play a D minor scale like I wrote down on or gave you on that other video, the D minor scale is not going to work against the true C, something in the key of C major. It's just not going to work. I have some interesting notes and play some examples. Now I'm using, I think it's important for all students, and this is awesome because it's almost like playing with a band that's not going to throw their drumsticks at you when you play a bad note. Trust me, it's happened to me. So I'm using this, and there's a lot of them out there, but what you kind of want to do is find one where they're showing you the chords that are going on within the track, and there's a lot of them out there, but I like this guy or girl, Elevated Jam Tracks. Very cool. He's got 237 subscribers, so this guy knows what he's doing, and it's pretty cool. He gives you some scale positions on there and blah blah blah, which is pretty awesome. This one, it says soulful bluesy groove guitar backing track jam in C. The chords are D minor 7th, and that's where we're going to use. I'll show you the difference between using a D minor scale and a D Dorian scale. Now Dorian is a minor mode, so it'll work. Then he uses a G7, C major 7th, A add 7 F, some fancy dancy chords, which is cool, and I'll show you how they work. Then the second time around, he throws in a G minor 6th, which is a G minor chord, and then a C add 7 at 6. Now let's go over some really small theory. Now, don't get freaked out, but you got to know this stuff, in my opinion, if you're going to start jamming to avoid those bad notes. So within the key of C, you can play, here's some easy scales that we could do right off the bat. We can use our C major, or up here. Whatever. And then C is the relative minor for C is A minor. So we could use a 5th fret A minor scale. And if you notice in this track, there's an A7. So he changes that out from an A7, but those minor notes will work. All right, so let me play the track. Hopefully no copyrights on a jam track. So, all right, here we go. I'll call out the chords as I see them, and I'll throw in some of the stuff that we went over in the first video. So here we go. Hold on, starts off here. D minor 7 is the first chord to a G7. So here's our D minor. Now here's a good example. Now here's that D minor that I gave you on that. And this note is gonna suck in there. It's gonna be harsh, but if we slide it up to here, which is the Dorian note, the 6th going to the 7th, it's gonna sound cool. So here we go. Watch this again. That's Dorian. So, but I'm gonna play a D minor scale against that note, what's typically heard in there. Here we go. Oh, it sounds horrible. Ouch! I'm hurting the dog's ears. So that doesn't work. So it's important to know. That's why a little bit of theory will help you a long way. And this is, this is what I use when I get called up and to jam with other people. The first question I ask is, what key are we in? It's almost like asking, what note should I play? But anyways, I know theoretically, and you should look into this. There's other great videos on this. So that my second mode that you're playing is the Dorian. Anyways, here's another good way to do it is that here's how, if you got to think fast, that I know my C is related to my relative minor, which is A minor. A minor, or C and A. A is the 6th degree of C. So C, D, E, F, G, A. Watch this. So if I'm in the key of C and I know my C is up here, to find my relative minor, I'll take my pinky, put it on my key of C. Like, oh man, hey dude, we're gonna play in the key of C. I could go like this. Pinky on C, first finger is my relative minor, which is A. And so, okay, you could do this without even knowing what you're doing. Okay, I'm key to A, put my pinky there, first finger's here. It's F minor, F sharp minor. So, we're gonna be in the, I don't care, key of C sharp major. Oh, I have to go 6 degrees up from C sharp major. Oh my God, it's just, song's over? Doggone. But if I take my pinky and put it on the 9th fret, because there's my C sharp chord, boom, I'm in this key. I don't even have to know what the name of it, but I know my fingers are gonna work here. And here's how to visualize it. So if I'm in the 9th fret, my C sharp, put my pinky there, my first finger, if I bar that first finger is that finger when I play the C sharp chord here. Kind of interesting. So here, I do that again. C, this finger becomes this finger. And these, to visualize it, and that's what we're trying to do in some respects. So visualize this. Here's my C sharp chord, here's my C sharp chord. Oh, sorry, C sharp chord. Look at where my 9th fret, my first finger is. Watch this. So remember I told you put your pinky over here. Watch this, I can slide down. There's my pinky. And all my pentatonics, it becomes a major pentatonic here on the 6th fret. But the reason that it's called a major pentatonic is because major pentatonic, it has 5 notes of the major scale, not 7. You want the other 2 notes of the major scale, play your minor pattern on the 6th fret. Okay, so let's go back to this jam track. I'm in the key of C, and let's play in the key, let's not play in the key, but let's play A minor pattern over this, and it's gonna all work. Now, it's important to remember, here's a key thing, no pun intended. Your first finger on that G string on the 5th fret, that's a C note. That is your key. So this is where you're gonna start to hear your keys. If it's a D minor chord, this becomes the tonic center in that moment, in the D minor moment. So let's watch this. All right, listen to this. Here we go. There's my, I started on my, it's a D minor chord. I started on the D, and then I went up the little, and I ended up on the C or the 5th fret of the G. Here, nice easy part. And I could keep going down because technically it's a G chord, and I want to get to that G. I'm going to hit a nail a chord tone here. Sounds like I know what I'm doing. You could do the same thing. So here, there's my G. C. Now I'm at the C chord's the 3rd chord. Now I'm going to start my little run on the C. So the first lick I started was on D. And I landed on the G right when the band hit the G. Next lick I'm going to start on the C, which is the 5th fret. So let's do this. C. And I hit that high C. Once again, sounds like I know what I'm doing. Just getting lucky. Not really. So let's pretend that what I said in the other video is true, and I think it is. Let's think, oh, Bill said D minor, and you forgot what I said after that. I'm gonna play a D minor scale. Let's see how sucky that sounds if I can say that on YouTube. Here we go. That sounds bad. It's kind of bluesy. Ouch. That note is just not working. Why? Because within the key it's supposed to be this. And that's not to say you can't play that sucky note, because sometimes tension and how you manipulate it is the key to being a great musician. I'll say that again. That tension and manipulating that tension and turning it into a resolution is the mark of a great musician. And some tension in all things are very good. So, but if you're not looking for that and it becomes a bad note, then you just suck. Sorry. Took me a long time to figure this stuff out. Well, not really, but I had some really good teachers. So, okay, I think that about covers it. Play along with these jam tracks, and if you're hearing something bad, ask yourself why, and then throw me a comment in the comment section, or question, or whatever. I will answer anything I see. And hopefully this answers some questions. A lot of times when I put these major scales, because I put on my sheet, I put C major. I'll play these chord patterns. That's what I should do. I'm taking the garbage out. Sorry about that. Ow. Jeez. Oh, ouch. All right, alrighty. Here we go. So that was my C thing that I showed you. I could play it up here. I kind of did that. Let's see, what else can we apply? There's a D minor. We went over that. Oh, there's a G minor pattern I put on my sheet up here. I put on 3rd fret, but what did we say? We said, so really, we're going to play it as an A minor on the 5th fret. Here's how it goes. Let's try and do a little half-step lead into some of these chords here. D minor, G, C. So D, G, C. That's C. Here's a nice lead, and it's within the scale of the A minor. I'm gonna slide right into that. Watch this. Here we go. There's a G. C. Now I mix that up with. There's my C. Slid into it. And it on an A, which is the next chord. So let me play this again. So G, and I landed on the A. That's an A7 chord. So a lot of little tricks. This will help you as a student to understand the names of the notes. I know some of my students, one of my students in particular, wrote down all the notes on the keyboard. So maybe have that sheet out, and then let's write down your progression that it's on his video. This way, I like this guy or girl, I like this elevated jam tracks. Is that, okay, there's a G coming up. Where's my G's? Write them, know them in your head, and within that scale that, oh, there's a G right here. C to ending on an A. Okay, let's try and make those goals for what you want to hear. If you think this is kind of, well, this is just, man, I want to jam the track, go ahead, jam the track. But if you want to elevate your playing to just jamming on a track, to actually knowing what markers you want to hit, that will elevate your musicianship. Even just pick out one chord of this whole jam track to start with. Every time you hit a D, you got to go to a D note. There's my D note. There's a D note. There's a D note. There's a D note. So just make that. Oh, let's get to that D. Every time that progression goes around, noodle. Do whatever you want, or play your A minor scale. And when you get to that D, try and get there and see what happens. Some great examples, of course. I talked about in the other video is when Page in this first little run in Stairway to Heaven, he hits an F, and the whole band, believe it or not, being sarcastic, lands on an F chord, and he hits an F, which is not your pentatonic, it's in your minor scale, and that shows you how smart he is, or was, or is, whatever. So, all right, I'm done babbling. All right, lesson 2, over. See ya.